Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1676. The topic is nutrition, and the title is Managing Portion Control to Match Hunger. Ooh, this is a fun one. So I had a client, they're new to kind of controlling their nutrition. They're trying to learn how to improve on old habits. The old habits were convenient, but they didn't leave them to the best, aesthetics, didn't look the way they wanted, and they've been wanting to kind of build muscle, get more athletic, and that's been holding them back as well. So they've been struggling, and specifically with varying feelings of being too full and not full enough. So one of the entries they had in their journal, and we do like a online journal with all my clients, my one-on-one clients, so they can ask me anything, and then I give them answers, and we look through that every single week. So they wrote, I feel like breakfast is the worst meal because it's too much to eat in order to hit my calorie and protein targets, but in the evenings, I always feel like I could eat more. That's why before I used to skip breakfast so I could eat more at dinner. That seemed to work in that it addressed how I felt at each meal. Can I go back to doing that? And my answer was kind of a yes and a no. The yes part is assuming that they now have proper calories, proper protein percentage within those calories, and more consistency of food from day to day. That if they did that old habit of skipping breakfast and eating everything in the evening, they're going to make progress because they have a lot more right now than they used to have. So yes, they can do that and see progress. The no part to that is that it won't best address other issues that they're having. Some of the issues that they said that they were having with their old way of eating was low daily energy. If you don't eat anything and you have to be active during the day, you're going to have low daily energy. Your body's going to argue with you and try to get you to do less. They also used to have poor sleep quality, and partly in due to they were eating a whole day's worth of food 2 to 3 hours before they went to bed. So it's just not going to be really helpful because their body's active with digestion, and they're definitely going to have some acid reflux or some digestive issues, as well as just their body feeling kind of excited through the process of having to digest the food. They're not going to have really good sleep quality. They also used to have poor workout recovery. They said that they would try to work out, but they would always feel beat up and sore. And when they would take time off and feel defeated, then they would feel, fat and lazy. So then they tried to get back into it. And it was just this constant cycle to where they had poor workout recovery. So I said that eventually doing the method of skipping breakfast, eating really small amounts through the day, and eating everything at night is eventually it's going to have a limit. It's a temporary band-aid. They can make some progress in the meantime, but they're not going to address their low daily energy. They're not going to address poor sleep quality. They're not going to address poor workout recovery. And eventually, that way of eating where you don't eat enough during the day and you eat everything at night, it will have like a cap or like a ceiling on how much fat loss they can achieve with that method. So spreading the food out, having a little more calories during the beginning part of the day and a little less at night is going to help address all of those issues as well as give them a greater potential for fat loss. So I said that we could start with what they would like to do. But we need to be aware that it's definitely not the best approach for them long term, given all of their goals. And that approach would be just a place to start, but it's definitely not where we want to stop. We wouldn't want to stay there and then wonder, why aren't I making more progress? What else could I change? That's the thing that we would want to change. Then we also started talking about how can we get more food in earlier in the day? So if they're struggling with not feeling hungry enough at the beginning of the day, then how can we get more food in during the day? And if they always feel like they could eat more at dinner, partly that's because they haven't eaten anything all day, so their body's really hungry. But we can also play around with how to get more food volume in at night, but not have it add up to a lot of calories. So that's where we talked about the idea of like portion control. And we can play around with the state of food, whether it's solid or liquid. And we can play around with like nutrient density or caloric density. and whether it's a high density food or a low density food. So, for example, in the mornings, we would want to focus on liquids and high density foods, meaning we don't need a lot of the food to get a lot of calories and protein and the macronutrients that we want. But in the evenings, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to focus on solid foods because they're more filling, and you have to have like the act of eating them and breaking them down, and that contributes more towards feeling like you got to eat more. So we want to focus on solid foods, and we want to focus on what's called low density foods, meaning there's a lot of volume of food, even though there's not a lot of calories in it. Think of like a head of lettuce. You can eat a whole head of lettuce, and there's like 12 calories. The idea is you can eat this huge ball of lettuce and there's not much in it. But if you were to make that same size ball of pizza, that's a lot of calories, an enormous amount of calories. So lettuce is less nutriently dense, whereas pizza would be higher nutrient density. So an example that I gave them for some meals is we were looking at, okay, if we have for their goal, they need around like 250 to 300 calories is a target that we were starting at for breakfast, and around 25-ish grams of protein, if we could do that. And these were just kind of like, let's just throw some things out there. Let's get some meal ideas. Let's start and see how it goes, and let's adjust along the way. So I gave them examples. An example of a breakfast in the morning that is liquid and in high density, meaning it's not a lot of volume to get to the calories that you need. There's a drink called a Core Power, which is basically like a protein drink, but it's pre-made. You don't have to like make a powder plus a liquid and all this stuff. But it's something Core Power they can order off Amazon, they can order from a grocery store, they can just get from a grocery store however they want. But they can have that on hand. And then there's granola bars. One brand, for example, is called Made Good granola bar, just 100 calories. So they can have a Core Power and a granola bar. That's 270 calories, 28 grams of protein, quick and easy to eat. Not a lot there, volume-wise, pretty easy. We could also do, if they wanted to do a shake, which would be, again, a liquid thing, they could get one of those Ninja blenders or those quick little blender things. They would put a scoop of protein powder, a banana, and a tablespoon of peanut butter. You know, if you do a chocolate protein powder, it's actually pretty good. So a scoop of protein powder, a banana, and a tablespoon of peanut butter. That's going to give them, roughly 300 in the 300 range of a little over calories and around 30-ish, 25 to 30 grams of protein. So that's going to get them right in their range. Or they could do a shake, a cup of Greek yogurt, a cup of mixed berries, and some unsweetened almond milk. And they could blend that together. And that would be roughly, 200 and some calories, roughly between that 25 to 30 gram of protein window. So that would be an example of how we could get fluids in. And you can see their granola bar is a solid food, but it's really small granola bar. So we can get liquids in, we can get small amount of foods in, but still get some kind of calories, some kind of protein to start the day. And that's going to help towards daily energy. That's going to help improve sleep quality because now they don't have to eat that much extra food in the evenings. That's going to help with workout recovery because when we damage our muscle tissues in our workouts, those can take, depending on the intensity of the workout, it might take 12, 24, 36, even 48 hours, even more, if you have very intense workouts, to heal that tissue. That means that the muscle tissue is looking for healing agents such as protein all the time. 24/7, if there's protein available, it will use it to try to heal those muscles. So if you only eat mostly in the evening, you're only getting the recovery portion that the evening food allows you, given its digestion rate. That means that after that food is digested, there's a time window in which you're just not having any protein coming in and you're not getting muscle recovery. By now adding something in the morning that actually has some protein in it, it's going to help give a little bit of extra time of recovery. So it's going to help that goal as well. And since we're getting more calories in at the beginning of the day, the body doesn't feel like it needs to store as many calories for daily energy, therefore it doesn't need to hold on to as much body fat. By adding calories in the morning, even if they're liquids, even if they're high density foods, it's okay. It's better than nothing. It's going to help them in all of those ways we just said, and it's something that matches their hunger level. It's quick, easy, small. They can definitely get it in. Now in the evening, we want to do the opposite. We want to focus on solid foods. We want to get rid of liquid calories. Solid foods take up more space in our stomach. When you fill your stomach, it creates pressure against the stomach lining. Our body produces a chemical called ghrelin, which helps our body be more aware that we're full. So there's hunger impacts. It reduces the sensation of hunger if you have more volume within your stomach. So that is very helpful. So we want to focus on solid foods. We also want to focus on low density foods. So we want to eat foods that you have to eat a lot of it to get anything from it. And in general, a good just basic category would be vegetables. That's also going to be helpful because it brings in vitamins, minerals, fiber, a lot of other stuff, which is going to be helpful if that's a larger meal of your day. You're going to want some fiber to help kind of make that move through your system. So you can focus on a lot of vegetables. You can blend in a couple different types of vegetables. That's a lot better than trying to eat a massive amount of a single vegetable. But that is a really easy way to add volume to a meal that doesn't contain a lot of calories. Now, you want to be careful about which vegetables. If you just go on, say Google and type broccoli nutrition facts, it'll let you know how many calories is in like a specific amount of broccoli. But think about like a broccoli, asparagus, cucumbers. You can eat that till you're blue in the face or green in the face. There's a lot of things like radishes, lettuce, iceberg lettuce, spinach, kale, all those things. There's a lot of vegetables that are very low caloric density. Some vegetables, such as like beans, they have a high caloric density, so you have to be careful about beans. So you do want to double check whatever vegetable you choose to eat. Just go on Google, search the nutrition facts for it, just see how many calories is in, like say a cup's worth, or some amount that you would typically eat, whatever the amount is, whether you weigh your food or measure it in volume and whatnot. But adding vegetables to dinner is a great way to add volume to the meal to make you feel like you ate more, but it doesn't necessarily add up to a lot of calories. So that was, I thought, just a fun discussion that I was having with that client that other people might benefit from, is if you feel too full at a certain mealtime, focus on liquids and high density foods. If you are not full enough, focus on solid foods and add in low density foods such as vegetables. Awesome. Well, hopefully that was helpful. If you want any extra help with trying to figure out calories, protein, timing of the day, all that kind of stuff, we do have on our website, we have a free nutrition education page. On that page, we have a link to a document you can view and print that allows you and kind of teaches you how to create your own nutrition program. You can check that out on our website, totally free. If you have any extra questions or you ever just want to send in some ideas, you can always communicate with us. Our email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Send me anything you want, and I'll put it in a podcast. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate the interaction. It's really fun to hear from everybody, and it's just great to know that the podcast is helping people get their questions answered. Okay, well, if you like our podcast, please share it. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. That's the whole goal of the podcast, just help people live their healthiest and happiest lives. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. It does have a high hosting cost every year on different podcast platforms and whatnot, so I appreciate the donations to help cover that cost. Thank you very, very much. That way we can keep doing this every day and keep helping everybody. If you like the information we present in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us and follow us. Please follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.